TX Smokehouse, baby. Knock the stick off, man. We sending out them smoke signals. Pick your square. When the bell rings, I'ma put my hands on you. Call your face the helipad, I'ma land on you. Elite striker, put you on your backside. Howdy, I'm from Texas where the ladies don't catfight. They're serving up some chicken wings, I ain't talking fast food. Hit you with the guillotine to counteract your last move. Make you go night-night if you don't tap first. I'ma throw the straight right, but you can catch a jab first. Come on, got the smoke that you're looking for. Dishing out the punishment, worse than the book of Job. Take me to the mat if you can't fade the combos. But if you take me down, I'ma play you like a trombone. Oh, it's the big TX Smokehouse. Got 'em begging me to let the smoke out. If you flex with me, you get choked out. It's the big TX Smokehouse. Smokehouse, Smokehouse. It's the big TX Smokehouse. If you flex with me, you get choked out. Yo, what it is, world, man? It's your boy Sha, and you know I represent that big TX Smokehouse. It's where we talk combat sports with nothing but a Texas flavor. And I explained it before. The reason that I started doing this is because all these other boxing pockets or just fighting pockets like Philadelphia, Detroit, Cuba, Mexico, you know, they're always talking about their fighters, this and that, and they act like we don't got no fighters in Texas. I'm like, man, we got hands out here. We got champions from out here. So, you know, I was able to reach out to this man that you can see on the screen. He is former two-time champion from San Antonio, Texas. You know, you got to be from Texas if I'm hollering at you. So my man, Jesse James Leija. What's going on, brother?
Good, brother. How you doing, man? Doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Up here,
you're living the dream.
That's what I'm doing, man. And I'm building a bigger dream.
That's how we could do, man.
Yeah, man. How you feeling?
Feel great, man. Busy. I'm busy as heck, though. I'm busier now than when I was fighting. Really? And I was always busy fighting, but I'm just so busy. I think, you know, what happens is you retire, and most guys retire and they think, well, that's it. But the money stops coming in when you retire.
Right.
And you know, in boxing, you retire. There's no pension funds. There's nothing like that for us. So when you retire, you know, hopefully you save your money, and you still got to keep working because you can't dig into that, you know, unless you make crazy money, obviously like Oscar or Mayweather, and then, you know, you do your thing. But you know, I retired, and I always felt I have to retire to something. I can't just retire. I can retire to something. So I opened up a couple of boxing fitness gyms here in town. I had 3 of them at one point. We sold them all, and just now we opened one huge gym that we've been open since January, and that just keeps me crazy busy, man. I do probably like 50 hours of personal training a week, and that's not even including the classes that we have. So my sons and I are partners in the gym, and we just stay busy, man. Just work.
Cool. Are your sons fighters too? You know,
I have some fighters. I had Kendall Castaneda. I used to have some amateurs. Now I just have Kendall Castaneda, and I'm too busy with businessmen, businesswomen, stay-at-home moms, dads, young teenagers. We get them. It's a fitness gym. We do all fitness I train everyone like they're pro boxers.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't get hit, but I train all of them like they're real boxers, and we do the same technique, same form. Sometimes my clients work harder than regular boxers, and but it's great to see. And we stay busy. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or not, but man, we're busy, man. I train the Spurs. I've been training the Spurs for the last 17 years.
Oh, cool.
We trained the whole team during the summer from June to about October. We train. They come to my gym, or I go to their gym. Mm-hmm. We just stay busy with all of them.
What's the name of your gym?
Leija Boxing and Fitness.
Okay, cool.
We used to the other gyms that I had were called Champion Fit Gym, and then we changed the name to Leija Boxing and Fitness. And so we're doing well.
That's what's up, man. I mean, you said it though. You said it perfectly. I'm glad I didn't even have to ask this question, because I've actually heard other boxers bring it up too, is that, you know, like you said, boxers don't get pensions. You know, there is no retirement plan for boxers. You basically, like Andre 3000 from Outkast said, you only as funky as your last hit, man. It's just like, if you're not in the ring fighting, you're not making any money.
You're not getting paid.
Not as a fighter. And so, yeah, I get it. And, you know, especially like I grew up in the music industry, and it's kind of the same concept as far as when you're young and you write that first hit and the checks are rolling in, or you're on tour and you got all these girls and, you know, you're making all this money, you got all this jewelry and you feel invincible. But what you don't understand is that, you know, first of all, you got to pay taxes. So a lot of that money going there. But what you don't understand is if you don't keep, yeah,
there, now they're gonna come and get it later.
exactly. They come and get you. And so it's like you don't think about the longevity of it all, like post career and that type of thing. And then you all of a sudden find these guys in bad financial situations at the end of it all. And I see boxers having that same deal. You know, you're young, you're flashy, you're knocking people out. You know, everybody's yes man, everybody on your tip. But at the end of the day, if you're not fighting, you ain't got no money. So what are you gonna do after? Because I mean, you're gonna retire young. You might, well, they say you old because you're 35. 35 is young in real life.
In real life, yeah.
So you got a lot more life to live, hopefully. So yeah, how did you plan on that when you were coming towards knowing you were coming close to the end?
Well, yeah, I was 38 years old. And I knew the end was near, and I figured out, what am I gonna do after this? I had a big house. I had I just had a bunch of stuff with cars and the whole bit. I said, man, I know when I retire, I may retire, those big checks are going to stop coming in, but that income tax, the taxes, my property taxes aren't going to stop.
Exactly.
My mortgage is not going to stop. All that's not going to stop. So I better be smart about all this. Maybe I should downsize. I don't need this big house anymore. Why do I need it? I'm not going to be able to keep paying it off unless I'm making the money, but I'm not going to be fighting anymore. I'm not going to make the same money anymore. I know that. I knew that. Had my money in retirement. I can't touch that for a while. So I said, let me get rid of this house. And I downsized. And I'm getting ready to downsize again. This house is still too big for me. But it's just being smart and seeing or looking around and knowing that I've seen other fighters go through this. I mean, you go to the Boxing Hall of Fame, you see what's happened with guys that aren't making it, because they were champions at one point and the money was great at one point, but it runs out. Once you stop fighting, you're not getting paid anymore. You have to retire to do something else. And that's what I did. I stayed busy, opened up my own business, started doing some promotions as well. We did it, you know. It's not, like you said, you retire young, 38 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, you retire young, but you still got to work.
You got to work, man. Yeah. So did you have somebody kind of coaching you in your business mode once you were getting ready to retire, or is this something you came up with yourself?
It's just something I knew that was something I had to do. I've always had great people around me. I had my manager I had for 17 years, Lester Bedford. I have great attorneys, Michael Miller, who's an attorney who does a lot of work for a lot of fighters. He's one of my best friends. I've known him since 1990, knew Lester since 86, 87. But I had, my mom and my dad were good, were smart. They knew you put your money away, put it in retirement, don't touch your money. And we knew, just basic stuff. So I knew that once I retired, there has to be something else. You can't just live off your money. It's gonna run out. It's gonna run out. So
absolutely,
keep working.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take guys like yourself that had that vision to see that coming, to actually reach out to some of these other younger fighters or whatever. Because a lot of them, they don't have people that's in their corner with their best interest at heart.
The people in the corner have their best interest in
exactly,
not the fighters' interest.
Exactly, and it's been like that for.
I had the same team since the time I was an amateur until I retired. The same. My dad was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Last the other one. I had Joe who's the cup man that passed away a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had a small team. We had maybe at the most 6 guys around us.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept the same team for 17 years. And I knew those are the people that loved me, not just for boxing, but they loved me as a person. They were going to look out after me and not try to steal money from me.
Right.
You hear these stories of world champions that were around for years and their manager or their dad or someone was stealing money from them all along.
Right.
That's tough, man. It's hard.
So
but I also had control of my money. I knew what I was getting. I knew where to put it. I knew that I paid out. When you're a fighter, I don't know if fighters ever understand this. I don't know if fighters understand this, but when you're the fighter, you're the boss. You hire your manager, you hire your trainer, you hire everyone. They don't tell you what to do. They advise you, but you're the boss. You did the hiring because you do the paying. At the end of the night, you do the paying. So, I don't think a lot of these guys, they whatever the manager tells them, they say, okay, I hired a great attorney which is my great friend, to make sure everything was going on that was supposed to be happening. That and not only was I overseeing it, my attorney was overseeing, making sure things were right.
Cool. So basically, you had a team that loved James.
Yeah.
Instead of a team that was with Jesse James.
I love the money. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Jesse James is the brand.
Yeah.
But James is the guy.
Yep. And they loved me for who I was. And, not all of it was family, but I had Ronnie Shields with me as well.
Yeah.
Don Khan, you know who Don Khan is? Don Khan trained Alexis Arguello and Wilfredo Gomez back in the day. So he was a good guy. Matter of fact, I just talked to him like 3 days ago. But you have to surround yourself with people that you truly can count on, and that you can trust. Trust is it's a tough one in boxing because everyone's after their own pocket. But if someone's working for me and they're working hard, I'm going to pay them.
Right.
If they pay them fairly, I'm not going to try to screw them out because, that they're working just as hard as I am. But it's not. It's a boxing business. It's like the music business. You can't trust everyone.
Right. And sometimes it's hard to even tell who you can trust, man, because they're professionals. You know what I mean? They have the gift of gab for a reason. And, they make you think, this is my guy. This is, this is my motherfucker. You know what I mean?
They have a good, they know how to talk the talk. And they know how to.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But, it's those guys when you lose a fight, who your true friends are, the ones that are still around, and the ones that are the fake friends are the ones that go somewhere else.
Especially these days. I'm probably going to be mentioning this a lot on my podcast, was probably every episode, but these days the branding is so important, and everybody's protecting that. Everybody's protecting that, they want to stay out of that loss column. And so, and I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. It's because the media, your team, if you got these badass women that's always around, that if you get a loss, the way they look at it today, it's like, oh, you're nothing, you lost, you're a bum, you this and that. We don't want to hang with this guy anymore. You know what I mean? And I think it's ridiculous, but that's the mentality of the whole entire, the boxing landscape now. It's like you lose a fight, oh, it's over. He's devastated. Like they said about Deontay Wilder, he lost a fight. Oh, he's depressed and he disappeared and he came back like, what y'all talking about? I'm good, man. I'm rich. I got a beautiful family. I can still knock people out. But what you mean? I'm so I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you think about the new attitude of, protecting the O?
It used to be worse though. Think about it.
Really?
Back in the, when I was around 80s and 90s, you didn't win a loss, man, because if you had one loss, you weren't going to get that world title fight.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think it's not as bad as it was back in the day. Back in the day, you couldn't have a 1 or 2 losses in your record or 3 losses because everyone was, if you want to fight the world champion, you better be undefeated because that's where the money was at.
Wow.
You didn't want to lose back. Right now, I think it's okay. You know why? Because not the only reason it is because this ain't the only reason, but MMA, these guys have 4 or 5 losses and they're fighting huge fights.
That's true.
Now it's okay. Now, obviously, if you're losing to guys who are losing records and you're losing to them, you're not going to make it anyway. But if you have a respectable fight against a world champion fighter or just a beast of a guy who's a big top contender and you lose to him, you can still work your way up. But back in the 80s and 90s and probably in the 70s as well, if you have 1 or 2 losses, you weren't going to make it as a fighter. You weren't going to get that opportunity to fight for the world champion. And I think, back then, I think it was tougher back then. You couldn't afford to lose. I knew when I was fighting, we said, man, we got to win these fights. You'll never get a world title fight. You have to have that undefeated record because Don King, or I was with Don King, I was with Bob Arum. They wanted to get that guy that's 20-0 against the guy that's 20-0 or 25-0. They wanted
so they can sell it.
And it's what you sell.
Yeah.
Your record, or you have a few losses in your record, doesn't sell as well.
So it's not a new phenomenon then. Okay. I just noticed I was a kid.
It's a little bit more lenient now, I think. You can have a few losses on your record. Not a few, but Not like back in the day, man. You couldn't afford to get that loss.
I'm glad you said that because honestly, I never actually heard that perspective from a fighter from your era. You know, like I said, I was a kid. I was in my teens. You know, during your prime. You know, when you were fighting Oscar and those guys. I probably was. When did you fight Oscar? It was what, like
95.
95. Okay, I was senior in high school, so of course I wasn't paying attention to the business of the sport more so than just who I like to watch. You know, so yeah, I'm glad you said that though, because that could definitely clear it. I mean, even my misconception of it. That's cool. So let's get to your father, man. I know you mentioned that your father was your trainer. He was your trainer since you were a kid, all the way up, or what?
Well, I didn't start fighting until I was 19.
Really?
Yeah, and only because my mom and my dad didn't want us to fight, because my dad was a fighter and he had he was a tough guy, but back the sport, even back then, everyone was fighting just to make money. They weren't really training well and all that. But my dad was just a scrapper, man. He would just fight anybody. In fact, so my dad was the first, as an amateur, was the first San Antonian in 1959. I believe it's 58, 59, one of those. The first San Antonian to ever make it to the National Golden Gloves finals.
Really?
He was the first one from San Antonio. And
okay.
And so he was pretty good, but he did it at 112 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He was my height, 112 pounds. At the end of his boxing career, when he fought 154. He was a strong guy.
Yeah.
He packed a lot of power. To fight 112 and finish at 154, that's crazy.
But that is crazy.
Think about Manny Pacquiao.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's some Pacquiao stuff, man.
Yeah, but my dad he would knock out guys. If he didn't knock you out, you were gonna knock him out, because he back then they didn't teach you defense. They would just teach you how to fight. Just go in and fight. And so when that's why he wanted me to be a fighter. And when I was 19, I decided I wanted to try fighting. And he said, we're gonna do it the right way. Because I was I was boxing in the garage by myself, and he didn't. I guess he saw something and said, "Man, he has a little bit of talent." So we went to the gym, and 2.5 years later, I was in the Olympic trials, 1988 Olympic trials, in 2 years.
So you had natural talent then?
Well, I must have had a little bit, but the work ethic was more to me than the talent.
Absolutely. I mean, I totally. I mean, some people, you have guys like Roy Jones Jr. that just come out. I say they come out their mama, with just crazy talent. But I get it. But you still have to have a certain amount of talent to pick up the sport in 2 years to make it all the way to where you made it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have never guessed, especially when you said your father trained you. I would have never guessed that you started fighting at 19.
Yeah, I had, I think, 34, 35 amateur fights.
Okay.
It was all said and done. I had 32, I think, when I went to the Olympic trials.
Okay.
And then I fought maybe 2 more times after that here in town and turned pro. Even when I turned pro, I didn't think I was going to turn pro. I just said, I think that's the next thing to do, is turn pro.
Next step, right?
Lester, I ran into Lester before in the Texas Golden Gloves. I ran into Lester and he said, "Man, I would love to sign you. Everything about signing, I would love to sign you." And I didn't talk to him for another year before I turned pro.
Okay, so did you fight any like known fighters that we may know today when you were an amateur?
When I fought in the 1980 Western Olympic trials, I fought Michael Black out of Vegas, who was a great fighter out of Vegas. He was beating everybody. White guy though. It was a white guy, Michael Black.
Michael Black.
Yeah. Funny, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's a big attorney now in Vegas or something. But he was a great scrapper, man. He just threw a lot of punches and was tough, just a tough guy. I fought him. I fought who was that fight coming up? Juan Baldwin was the Texas Golden Gloves. I don't know. Everyone I lost to in the amateurs, they didn't make it as a pro. I fought Kelsey Banks.
Okay.
You know who Kelsey Banks is?
I heard the name. I'm not very familiar with
Kelsey Banks was a huge amateur. He was number one in the world at 135. At 125 when I fought him. I was like 5'11", 125 pounds. Number one in the world.
Yeah.
So he was just a great fighter. He's the one I fought in the Olympic trials, and he beat me on points. Guys like 5'11", 6 foot. He just moved along with that range, a long jab,
Yeah, that's some Tommy Hearns looking kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. I thought I did well. I beat him. He didn't make it. He fought he got knocked out in the Olympics.
Okay.
And then he got knocked out when he turned pro. He had like over 500 fights. He had a lot of fights. Yeah.
Wow.
He got beat up and worn out in the amateurs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of fights. That's a lot of amateur fights.
Yeah. And then I think early on, when my first big, and then I turned pro, and my first big fight was I can't think of this guy's name. He was Emmanuel Stewart's fighter.
Okay, props to Emmanuel Stewart, RIP.
Yeah, he just I was fighting everybody when I started. A lot of good fights when I first started.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about that, man. Because a lot of I don't really want to say the wrong thing because I've never been a fighter. So in your situation when you first came in, so a lot of times you see like say Edward Belonga. People say, oh, he's not fighting anybody because he had 16 KOs in the first round type of deal. How was it with you? When you were coming up, were they feeding you like easier opponents, or was it like more of a scrap kind of? What was your beginning of your career like?
First term pro. I mean, obviously you don't fight the world beaters, but
absolutely
guys that had fights already or never had decent records.
Yeah.
Some fights with I think I fought. I can't think of where it came on, but I was fighting some early on. I fought like early on. I think it was my third or fourth fight. I can't think of the guy's name now, Juan Lopez or something. I can't even think of his name, but I beat him in a close fight. That he went on to, I think, challenge for world titles later on in his career.
Let's see, your third fight was Manuel Gomez.
I think that's him.
Okay.
I think that's him.
Yeah, you won a unanimous decision. That was in 1989, October 4th, 1989. I'm looking at your box, Rick, while we're talking.
I think that's him.
Okay.
And he went on to fight. I think if you look at it, I think he went on to fight big fights. Anyway, but I fought everybody early coming up. I fought good fights. And I think that was the key. That's the key to making a good fighter is building him up, not giving him too much, just building up.
Yeah.
Every fight has to be a little bit harder. Yeah. That way you see if your fighters are improving or not. And I think Lester and the matchmaker did a great job in matching me up and getting me the right fights.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, you look at it. You don't want to spend more time building the brand than building the fighter. You know what I mean? Like, well, this guy is 25-0, but he's fought a bunch of lesser competition, as opposed to, like you said, step up. Okay, give him a little tougher test. Step up, give him a tougher test. Because I'm looking at your box rec, man. Like when you first said that you would do this, I started going through your record, and I was like, damn, this dude fought everybody. Like you fought everybody, man. Like all these names I'm recognizing from when I was a teen. I'm like, we're gonna go through. I don't want to name everybody now, but you literally fought all the top cats, and you scrapped with them.
In my early fights, it was a tough fight, but I fought Luis Espinosa, who was a two-time world. At the time I fought him, he was 47 or 43-6 or 43-7 when I fought him. Mm-hmm. And he was a two-time world champion or a three-time world champion. Luis Espinosa.
Yeah, 45-6.
Yeah, more knockouts than I had. He had more knockouts than I had fights. That was a tough fight. I fought him, USA Network, I think.
Did that intimidate you at all, going against that guy?
Yeah, of course I was intimidated early on. I was intimidated, but I don't know who I beat before that. I think I beat Troy Dorsey before that.
Before, let me see. Let's find his name again. You beat Gabriel Castro, and then you beat Troy Dorsey before that.
Yeah, see, Troy Dorsey, a former world champion, who he was an IBF world champion, who had a tough fight with Kevin Kelly. Okay, it was just a fight of the year with him and Kevin Kelly, and then I was gonna fight next. And I said, "Wow, this guy, he was tough too. Troy Dorsey's really tough. Yeah, not real technical, but just a guy who comes at you and doesn't stop punching. He'll throw. I think him and Kevin Kelly broke a record for the most punches in a fight. I think they threw like 1,200 punches each or something like that. Maybe, yeah, in a 10-round fight. I think it was amazing.
Oh wow!
And then I stopped Troy Dorsey in 5 rounds. And I fought him on NBC, the main event on NBC.
All right, so
which was great back then.
I would say that's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I fought on NBC twice. The first time I fought on NBC was I was in the undercard of Jesse Benavides from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think he fought Kevin Seabrooks, and I was the undercard, and I fought the guy from Kronk Boxing with Emmanuel Stewart on NBC. So I fought twice. So it was pretty cool. That built my name up. Like you said, building my manager Lester knew how to build a brand. He got me those 2 fights on NBC. Man, after that, my name was everywhere.
Yeah, that's huge. That's, I mean, absolutely huge. So let's get to this. I mean, I'm telling you, man, like these days, like the youngsters say, that's why I started the name of this podcast is Smokehouse, because, you know, Texas is about barbecue and, you know, the terms, do you want the smoke? You don't want that smoke, you know? And so I was like, I want to throw smoke.
I thought you actually had a smokehouse.
This is the Smokehouse.
Yeah.
These things. Yeah. But you wanted all the smoke, man. Like, you know what I mean? Don't look like you ducked nobody, bro. Let's go with the first one. Okay, Ali had Joe Frazier. You know, they had the 3 classics. Let's go down to Riddick Bowe and Holyfield. They fought 3 times, classics. You fought the Professor 4 times, Azumah Nelson.
Yeah, and we were 1 draw. I won the second one, he won the third one. The fourth fight was the tiebreaker, and I won that one.
Man, I mean, 4 times. Do you get tired of fighting the same dude?
42 rounds, man. 42 rounds of pain.
Wow.
Every Azumah Nelson was intense, man. You know what? I look back into my career. Man, in fact, just a while ago, I was looking at the Gatti fight. I don't watch many fights, but I said, I haven't seen this one in a while. I look at the fights and circumstances for different things, different fights. But I look at the fights as, man, I was doing okay. I was doing okay until I got caught. But I was beat up. I was injured before the fight. It was my last fight of my career. I was just a beat up guy. Anyhow, but you look back and I said, man, how does anyone get in the ring and fight? There's 2 different. I see myself as 2 personalities: the fighter and the one that's outside the ring. There's 2 different people. It can't be the same because you gotta be crazy being in the ring.
You do, man. You have to be a different kind of cat to, you know, for your profession to get hit in the face or to hit somebody else in the face.
Yeah, nonstop, over and over,
over and over again,
and be okay with it. Yeah, it's to me, it's like it's someone else. When I watch the fights, I like, man, I couldn't believe I did that. Like, why would you do that? You know, it's weird.
Yeah, like I always wonder, like, say, I mean, I haven't been a professional fighter, but you know, if I'm boxing around with buddies or whatever, and you catch them and I'll, you know, accidentally catch them one time and, you know, bust their nose, like, oh man, my bad. You know, it's like automatically compassion. But fighters, you catch a guy in his nose start bleeding, your eyes get big, like, oh, I got him. You know, and it's a different mentality.
I always tell people, what sport is there around besides MMA, but that the intent is in the sport, the intent is to hurt the other guy.
Hurt him, yeah. The
intent is to hurt him, not to, especially in boxing, it's not to outscore him or points, it's to hurt him.
Right. You know, did you ever, have you ever knocked somebody out so bad you thought like they were really, really bad, like hurt or not going to make it?
Nah, I've heard guys, not to the head where they're out. No, I never had that done. But I've hit guys to the body where they're like hurt. And I said, oh man, I hope I didn't break something. Yeah. So after the fact, like once the adrenaline goes down, you actually have some kind of concern for, and you know, respect for the person you're up against. Yeah, man, I'm friends with just about everyone I fought. I'm friends with just about everyone I fought. With Azumah Nelson, we're great friends. Oscar, I'm good friends with. Shane Mosley, I talk to every once in a while. Yeah. What's his name? Troy Dorsey, we talk all the time. Just we text each other. It's a respect thing first. You know, once you fight someone like that, you respect everyone. Right. For even just getting in the ring. There's some guys out there. I'm not gonna mention names, but there's some guys out there that just hate fighters. They hate how they fought. They can't stand it. You know, I think so first of all, we know who used to be like this was Eric Morales used to be that way. He hated everybody when he fought. He didn't become friends with anyone. I remember meeting him when we were younger. I met him and he looked at me kind of weird, like, and I was like, I told someone about it. He goes, oh yeah, because he thinks you may fight you one day, so why would he be your friend right now? We're friends. Now when we see each other, hey, what's going on? But That's crazy.
Yeah. So you have I know you're from San Antonio. It's predominantly Mexican. Are you a Mexican? Is that your background?
Yeah, that's my background. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Mexican American, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Um, the name Leija comes from Mexico, but at the beginning, the traces it comes from Spain, northern Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did my blood test, I'm like 40% Native American.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So a big portion of your blood is from.
Yeah, exactly. But the name Leijas from over there, but we migrated back in the day and became Indians or whatever, or so I'm Native American mostly.
So out of all those great classic Mexican fighters, do you have a favorite? The Moraleses, the Chavezes, those guys.
Yeah, there's so many, great fighters. There's Chavez, Salvador Sanchez,
Mm-hmm.
just great fighters. But you know what? Do you know what's funny? If I go to Mexico, I'm just as white as anyone else. They don't consider us like part of their family. We're not Mexican. We're not Mexican. We're not. They don't look at us and say, "Oh, you're part Mexican," or they don't look at us. They look at us like we're like white, like anyone else.
Really?
Yeah. When we're in Mexico, we're just like we're not from there.
You're just Americans.
When we're here in Texas, we claim Mexico as family and blood.
Yeah.
But when we're there, they look at us like we're like anyone else. It could be you or anyone else. We're like you're all the same. You're American. You're not Mexican. So it's weird.
That is weird.
In other words, they don't claim us over there.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like we claim them. They don't claim us.
That's a big thing in the Black community too. I mean, Africa is a huge continent with a lot of different countries, and people tend to think that Africa is like one type of people, and that's excuse my language, that's bullshit. It's different. Different people have different personalities, so you'll run into different groups. But I'm saying that to say, some of them, like a lot of us African Americans, are the same. Like we really claim Africa. Like me, I really love my African roots and my African heritage.
But Africa, would they think you're African?
Some. That's why I was starting that with. Like some of the groups really embrace us as Africans. They just, brother. But some, it's like you said, some of them is just like, nah, it's us and it's y'all.
You don't belong here. Go back home.
Yeah, some of them are like that, So I guess it's just depending on where on the continent you go. But yeah, it's that's definitely not, just Mexicans that do that. I guess it's just people, they feel like, no, this is our heritage and y'all left. It's like.
Yeah, if I'm in the wrong side of Mexico, they'll eat me up too. They'll cook me up and eat me too.
Oh shit! I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Not to that part. So Azumah Nelson, let's go back to how good of a fighter was he? I don't think people talk about him enough. So how good of a fighter was he? You've been in the ring with him 42 rounds, so you know better than anybody.
You know what? I think I hate to say things that make him look. Well, hold on. I hate to say things about him that would make me look good because I fought him 4 times.
Yeah.
Or I beat him a few times. I don't want. I never like to do that because people miss and say, "Oh, he's building himself up because he's putting." I don't want to do that. So if I build him up, does it make me look better? And I don't like doing that. But in reality, he was the Pacquiao of the 80s and 90s of boxing at his weight. Right? He's a 3-time world champion. He was undefeated for 10 years at one point.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah. He fought everyone, and he fought everyone in their backyard. He was just a great fighter. I don't know who you would compare him to nowadays. Maybe a Pacquiao, maybe a Lomachenko. Maybe he was just a great fighter. Maybe I don't know. Think about it, he fought everybody and beat everybody. Yeah. He was a great fighter.
Yeah, I remember him when I was younger, and I remember they called him Professor. He was a very smart fighter, very cagey. Especially
in the second or third fight, he was just a smart fighter. He would fix whatever happened and beat you. He beat a lot. I think the reason they say that because he beat 3 or 4 fighters in rematches and knocked them out in the rematch. Like Jeff Fenech, he did 2 other fighters.
Cool. So let's get some of these other guys you fought. Because like I said, you fought everybody, bro. You fought Sugar Shane Mosley. Like you said, Gatti was your last fight. Hector Camacho Jr. I thought Camacho Jr. was going to be something special, and he kind of just faded out after that. I was like,
after the fight with me, his career went downhill because I think mainly because I don't think it was so much about him because he was not bad. He was a good fighter,
Yeah,
but
very
the
talented.
perception of what he did in the fight with us or what the management did hurt his career.
It was a headbutt, right? He had got a cut. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I had a cut, but he cut me from a punch.
Oh,
I had
okay.
went across my eyelid or
Mhm.
across, and I kept fighting. We headbutted. He had a small nick, and he panicked. I don't think he ever been cut before. He panicked, was trying to get away from the fight, and after the fight, he told the ref. At the beginning of the 6th round, he told the ref, the bell sounded for the 6th round, and he told the ref he can't see, whatever. And so they stopped the fight. And I think I think the trainers or the promoter or the manager told him to just say, whatever, like you can't see because he panicked. And they gave him the wrong advice, told him to stop fighting. And it was on TV or HBO.
Yeah.
And I just ever since then his career went downhill.
Yeah, you can't get a blemish like that, like a quitter. No, nobody can.
Yeah, when they saw that, I think that's what they saw.
Yeah.
But if they would have said, "No, Hector, fight. You can fight. Keep going." I think if someone told him that, but I think they saw how he panicked. They told him to stop, and it backfired on him. And I told him he got the wrong advice that night.
Yeah.
And he's been paying for it ever since. He's still training. Do you follow him at all?
No, I haven't seen him in a long time.
He's always training. He's always saying he's getting ready he's gonna fight Chavez Senior. You know that, right? He's gonna fight Chavez Senior in June.
He's fighting Chavez Senior?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know Chavez Senior was coming back to the ring.
Exhibition fight.
Okay.
Everyone's doing those exhibition fights.
Yeah.
Camacho and Chavez Senior are gonna do an exhibition.
Really?
And Camacho Jr. is saying it's gonna be a revenge for his dad.
Yeah, that was a tough fight for Macho Man against Chavez Senior, man. That because I thought, I was a Camacho fan. He was flashy, very fast hands.
Great guy too. I used to hang out with him every once in a while.
Yeah, that was tough, man. Chavez has had a brick for a head, and he was just walking through his shots and catching him with some bombs, man. That was a tough fight.
That was a tough fight for him.
Yeah. I mean, I still, Camacho was a bad guy. He could fight. I really.
Yeah, no, he was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then in the day, people, I mean, they see it more now where Camacho Senior, more of a boxer. It's flashy, move. Now it's okay when you see Lomachenko do it.
Right.
When you see, all these fighters doing it, it looks okay. But back then it was, oh, you're a coward. You don't want to fight. You're running.
You're running. And
you can't run in the ring. Can't run.
Yeah. So this is crazy, man. So you fought Camacho Jr. Your next fight was Mickey Ward, and the next fight after that was Costa Zoo. Like, how you got these big time fights back to back to back. Like, what was that like?
Man, I mean, they were challenging. All those guys are tough fights.
Yeah.
And the mentality of getting ready for those tough fights is tough because, have you ever gone to a fight at school?
Yeah.
Okay. You have no time to think. It just happens right there and then,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
After the fight, you're like, whoa, man, what happened? All this, right? Think about having 2 months to get ready for a fight. Every night you're thinking about this guy you're going to fight. Every night. Then it becomes a month. And then it becomes 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Then the next day you're going to fight the guy. And you're like, whoa, man, it's the toughest thing. And then when you're at the fight, get ready for the fight, you have 4 hours, 5 hours. 5 hours, 4, 3, 2, 1, 30 minutes before the fight. Man, your head just like, nah. Remember Mike Tyson said he was so scared going to the ring.
Yeah.
Like, once he stepped into the ropes, you go, okay, come on, let's go. You want the bell to ring so fast so you can go into fight mode. Yeah. Before that, man, you're walking to the ring. If you know John Scully, you know who John Scully is?
I don't know.
John is a writer. He's the one that wrote he's a trainer, boxer trainer, but he's the one that wrote the walk to the ring will strip any man of any pride or dignity he thought he had. The walk to the ring, because it's like walking the plank.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to walk back. You don't know if you're going to survive. when I fought Camacho Jr. in 2001 or 2002.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
2001, Coney Island. The week before that fight in New York City, Scotland Beethoven, I think that was his name, died in the ring in New York. The week before my fight with Camacho in New York. And before that fight, I'm thinking, man, what if there's two guys dying in 1 week at the same city? How ironic would that be? You think of all this stuff. Like, man, what are the chances of two guys dying in 1 week? What if happened? What if? You're thinking of all this before the fight. And you still have to go and walk. You still gotta get up there. They go, 1 minute, an hour before the fight, 30 minutes before the fight, 15, 25, 10 minutes before the, whatever, 30 seconds. You're thinking, man, I hope I make it, man. I hope I make it back. I'm gonna fight hard so I'll make it back. Because someone had just died there, and you don't know. You don't know anything.
Yeah, that had to be like very stressful and causing some kind of anxiety. Thinking about that.
And I think it happens to a lot of. I think it happens to a lot of fighters. I like to believe it does because those are normal thoughts. I'm just worried about the guy who does not even think about it at all. Like, where are their heads at? You know what I mean? Like, just goes in there and says, "Oh, come on, let's go and get him." There's guys like that though. At least
I can see it from your point of view, man. Like the way that you just said it, like I do remember, like you asked me if we had a fight at school or whatever, but I do remember, like, say somebody pissed you off the day before, but you didn't get a chance to get to him. That whole night, you like, man, I can't wait till I see this guy tomorrow. And then it's running in here. I'm gonna say this, but what if he says this, and then what if this happens? It's like that's just one night.
Or when someone says, "I'll meet you after school,"
exactly.
Your day is done at school because you're not gonna think about anything else but jump or jumping that guy
after school, right?
In 5 hours after school,
right? So you're talking months of.
Yeah, we're thinking about a couple of months of all that. Yeah.
I again, man, this is a great interview. I've never actually had this conversation with a pro fighter, so it's like that insight is crazy. I can, like I said, I can just imagine the knots that's in your back, man. The anxiety of I can't wait.
I mean, and what's even tougher? It's tougher for your wives or for your partners. It's tougher for them because they can't do anything about it. You get to go in the ring and punch and get that stress out.
Yeah.
I found that my wife was, did it forever. But when I saw my son fight for the first time, I saw my son fight, and I'm there. I'm like, my body was so sore. I was just from stress. And that's the hardest thing when you see someone you love or someone that you care about fight, because you can't do anything. You just gotta wait there and hope. At least you're the fighter, you get to do something and punch back and get. Right. As a, you've seen. I'm sure you've seen it. You have a favorite fighter you see fighting. And your stomach's in knots, and you're like, "Oh man, get out of the way!" You're moving with them.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it was your son?
No, that's I
or
can't.
Your wife or someone like that. It's like,
that's taking those shots, and you can't get in there and do anything about it.
Do anything about it, but catch him. Yeah.
Oh man. So let's see. You fought, like I said, Sugar Shane Mosley, and Gatti. That's the last two we haven't really talked about. So out of all those big time guys you fought, I'll ask you two questions out of it. Which one was your favorite, and which one was the toughest, or is it the same?
You know what? They were all tough. Obviously, they're all tough.
Right.
But early on in my career, I remember I fought a guy from Mexico, and maybe it was Chilo Guzman or someone like that. It was maybe my 6th, 8th, 9th fight. And this guy was from Mexico. But he was hitting me with the open palm of his hand. But he was hitting me here, and both my eyes were swollen shut. And I just remember it being like crazy tough. Like I couldn't see anything. Blood was in my eyes. The fight was here in San Antonio. So I guess they didn't want to stop it because they knew I was a favorite. Yeah. Why stop it? But I couldn't see him. It was just a tough fight. And I remember saying, I'm going to take a knee because I can't see. I can't see. I'm in the corner. This guy's hit me, and he hit pretty hard. He was heavy-handed. And I remember saying, I'm going to take a knee. But right before I took the knee, I threw a hard hook and caught him and knocked him out. And I was like, whoa. I was like, man, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that happened. And so that was a tough fight early on in my career. Obviously, Oscar wasn't that tough a fight because he stopped me early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a long grinding fight. He hit hard. He was the hardest puncher I ever faced. And
Oscar was?
Yeah, and I was ready for him. I was ready. I trained, 8 weeks in training camp. I had the toughest sparring. I had sparring partners that were heavier than me just to get ready for the power.
Yeah.
For Oscar. Nah, it didn't make a difference. But that was tough. But
Let's go back to that real quick. Oscar's not really known, but nobody really talks about his power. And you fought him, and you say he's the hardest out of all the guys you fought. He's the hardest puncher.
I think about it. Oscar's knocked the guys out at 130.
Yeah.
They say you don't take your power with you, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
He's not guys at 130. He's not guys out at 135, 140, 147, 154, 160.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how strong he was at 130, 135?
That's true.
You could knock out guys at 160.
That's true.
No, so Oscar's really a lefty who fights righty. So
Really?
he knocked me out with his hook.
Huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why his hook's so strong. That's why he knocks everybody out with his hook.
I didn't know that.
When Mayweather, they were trying to protect. When he fought Mayweather, they were trying to make his right hand stronger.
Yeah.
He's lefty and he fights righty.
I didn't know that. Mike Tyson is the same. Mike Tyson's a lefty who fought righty.
Why didn't know that? I didn't know Mike was that way.
Yeah, he's left-handed.
Yeah,
I didn't know that about Oscar. I thought he was right-handed because he fought orthodox.
He golfs lefty.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's why he knocks everybody out with the hook.
So that's tripped me out. Because I would have thought you said like maybe Gatti was the hardest puncher, because Gotti's known for cracking.
Yeah, Gatti could hit. They all hit too.
Mickey Ward could punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Mickey Ward, you fought him in what year was that?
2001, I think.
That's stupid boxer.
1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, I ain't gonna spend all day looking at it because it's kind of. There we go. 2002. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you beat him.
Yeah.
So how was that fight? Because that guy was a grinder. How was that fight?
I mean, it was a great fight. The fight was like it was going back and forth. We had a great first few fight, but in the first round, he caught me with a headbutt right in the eye. And I looked at the ref. As soon as it happened, I looked at the ref. I said, "Watch his head." And he was always coming in with his head. Not always, he was coming in with his head. And then after that, here's what I even told Mickey about it too. All I heard was his training in his corner. You could hear them yelling in the ring. All I could hear them saying was, "Go for the eye, go for the eye, go for the eye," right?
Yeah.
And then I think, man, if he makes his cut worse, they're gonna stop the fight.
Yeah.
So all I tried to do is win every round. He was trying to make my cut worse. I was trying to win rounds.
Yeah.
Eventually my cut was from one side to the next. They finally stopped it in the 5th round. Now I was up on points. So, I said, "That's what you get for trying to make the cut worse." The fight would have gone the distance, but all he was trying to do, even when we're in the clinch, he was rubbing my eye, hitting my eye. That's all he did was go for the eye. It made it worse. I think I took 27 stitches on the outside, about 15 on the inside. And I said, man, I told him, I think he got bad advice, because you make the cut. They declared it a headbutt. Don't make it worse than get the fight stopped.
Right.
They declared a punch and then you make it worse, right? But they declared a headbutt and then they try to make the cut worse. I said, "You got bad advice." He laughed about it because, I think so. But anyway, that was a tough fight. I was really well prepared for that one. Had protecting my body all the time. Whenever we got in the clinch, I made sure I held on to that left arm of his so he could go to the body. So we prepared well for that fight. Still strong fighter though.
Yeah, he was very strong. I mean, everybody talks about the Gotti fights with Ward, and those are legendary. So, like I said, those guys were grinders. So when I started going through your record and I saw you fought both of them, I was like, and then I saw Sugar Shane, I was like, come on, dude, this dude is like fought like everybody.
I think I fought the best pound for pound fighters in the world in my era.
I believe you did. I'm looking. You know who you remind me of? That's a modern day fighter, and I don't mean your style, but I just mean a guy that got in there with everybody. And I want to smoke. I want this guy. I want this guy. I want this guy. I don't care how how high they are on the ranking. It's Sean Porter. Like Sean Porter fought everybody. Man, I started just going through, like, running through my head. He fought Kell Brook in his prime. He fought Berto. He fought Devin Alexander, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence Jr. You know, I mean, Adrian Broner. You know what I mean? Like this dude. So when I was looking at you, I was like, yeah, this guy is reminding me of the Sean Porter. You know,
my manager once said this when we fought everybody, and he said it in an interview, or he said it in one of my bio is, and I think the same for Sean Porter. You dare to be great, and you fight everybody regardless.
Yeah.
You know, I always said I don't want to be a fighter who people said, oh, he ducked everybody, or he didn't fight the best fighter. I want to be the fighter that people say he fought everyone. He didn't duck anybody.
And you did.
Lose, I went after everybody.
Yeah, you did.
I challenged everybody. And
yeah, you're right.
How people say I would have had, you know, whatever. Say I retired with 2 losses in my career. And those 2 losses are to fighters. But I lost 7 fights, but actually 6. One was ripped off. But of those 6 fighters, they're all great fighters. I mean, I lost 2 Hall of Famers.
You did.
I lost 2 Hall of Famers, and that's something I can be proud of. That I didn't duck anyone. And if I lost in a world title fight. I never lost a non-world title fight.
Right. You lost to some all-time greats. That's what I'm saying. It's like I was talking to I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but I was talking to Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat recently, old WCW days, and his name Stevie. You know the wrestler Booker T.
Oh, Booker T. Brown. Yeah, I know Booker T.
His brother Stevie Ray.
He played. Oh, okay. I just know about Booker because
you have Booker and you have Stevie Ray. I was talking to Stevie Ray, his brother.
Oh, his brother. Okay, I know Booker, but Booker played in my golf tournament here in San Antonio.
Really?
Him and the Undertaker played in my golf tournament here in San Antonio. I know a lot of wrestlers, man. I knew Eddie Guerrero. I did a skit with Eddie Guerrero when he fought. I did a skit with Eddie Guerrero here in San Antonio when he fought. Who's the wrestler? The USA boxing, the gold medalist.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle. Him and Kurt Angle fought, and I came into the ring. There was a skit where Eddie and I drive up in his lowrider to the ring.
Yeah.
We both get off, and the fans go crazy because I get off too.
Yeah.
We get in the ring, and Kurt Angle said, "I don't want anything with you, Leija. It's him. I want." They're wrestling the whole bit.
Yeah.
And one time, something happened, and Kurt Angle was gonna hit him, and I get to the corner, and he looks at me, and goes, "It's not you. I don't want you." And then Eddie hits him and wrestles, and they stop the fight. He gets that. Yeah. So we did a little skit. So I knew them all. I mean, I knew Eddie really well. And then I talked with Chavo, his nephew.
His nephew. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him quite a bit. And so one of the trainers that's for the WWE worked here in San Antonio for the hockey team. I knew him then we all became friends. So I knew the Big Show, knew all those guys.
All those guys, yeah. So can Booker and Undertaker golf, or are they bad?
They play well, man. Yeah. Undertaker plays well, man. I have a picture on my Instagram or something that where me and Undertaker are next to each other at the golf course. Yeah, they're good guys. All good guys.
Yeah, he's a big old dude, man. Yeah. He's about like 6'9" or something like that. That's a big. Yeah. So I was talking to Stevie Ray. We're about to wrap it up in a minute. I know you gotta get to the gym. I was talking to Stevie Ray about respectable L's. Like you were saying, it's no shame in laying it all out there in the ring against a Hall of Famer. And if you come up short, you come up short. That's better than just not fighting the best so that you don't have losses. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, guys like you get, or should, I don't know if I can't speak for everybody, but you should get more respect. Yeah. Even though you have, like you said, those 7 losses or, the 6 and you got ripped off one, but those are world championship fights. You know what I mean? Like these are some all-time great names, you know what I mean? Which means, like we say back in my neighborhood, I'm from Carverdale, I got to shout my neighborhood out. We say back in my neighborhood, yeah, but he got out there. He lost, but he got out there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You competed, you got a chance.
Yeah, you got out there. You didn't talk around it and come up with politics. You got in the ring with him and you scrapped it out. Yeah. So I think that's a respect. It's different from a moral victory. I don't count respectable L's. You threw these, you competed, the best man won. You know what I mean? So I think your career is remarkable, man. I didn't even realize you fought all those dudes until I started going through your record.
You think about the guy that has a great record, and they said, "But who did he fight?"
Right. Exactly.
Which fighters did he fight that were good?
Exactly. You hear that a lot, though. You actually hear that a lot. Like, well, he didn't fight anybody. You know, well, he's 25-0. Okay, who did he fight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, I think your story is phenomenal, man. Like you got in there and got down, man.
Only having 34 amateur fights, not bad.
Especially starting at 19 years old. That, like I said, is I could have swore when you said your father trained you, you know, it's usually 7, 8 years old, and you've been in the gym since you were a kid. Your father was a fighter, so I was like, this dude's been in the gym since he was 5.
I either would have been better or been worse if that would have happened. No telling. You know, some guys make it, and some guys don't.
Yeah, well, you made it, man. I believe, you know,
do make it when they fight. Man, they're beat up so bad. Your brain can only take so much punishment. You know,
right?
Some guys are lucky, and I think those guys are lucky. They just have good genetics.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's guys with less fights that are beat up pretty bad, and I feel bad for those guys. And then they're like we talked about earlier. There's no pension. There's nothing. You don't get anything for it.
Right.
You don't get anything for it. That's sad.
So how are you doing, like health wise, after you know, your career?
I'm fine. I mean, I've had most of the stuff. You know, now I do so many mitts with people now.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I get my I still have tendonitis when for my elbow, but I had that when I was fighting. I had a bad elbow, so we figured out that when my son was fighting, my son had 3 pro fights and then decided to fight, but he had to have elbow surgery because he has the tricep muscle is short.
Mm-hmm.
The muscle here to attach to the elbow short. Yeah. When you're getting hit here, it hurts so bad.
Yeah,
and it didn't happen to me until late in my career, but it happened to my son early in his amateur career.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had surgery to fix it. I never had surgery to fix mine, but so what happens is my jab. So your jab's are front. Every time you hit here, it puts a strain on you. Your arm goes numb for like 2 minutes. Just you don't even feel it, and it hurts the whole time. So those are some of the problems I went with in my career. At the end of my career, I had a separated rib for about 4 years. I never got better. But everyone has, and I said this a few times that I think a lot of fighters fight hurt, but you have to. That's part of the game,
right?
And when you do, you don't complain. I mean, you can complain about it, but that's part of the game,
right?
You fight hurt, and you don't fight 100%. You fight maybe at 75%,
right?
And that's what you do. You know, that's what you do. That's what a fighter does, and you just do it or don't do it. And so that's happens, and there's circumstances that happen why you lose or whatever. There are losses either way, and you can't take them back. And you just say, "Well, I've tried my best."
I totally agree.
That's all we can do.
Like you said, most guys come in the ring something hurt from training camp. You know, so
you know what, fighters, we don't get beat. I mean, we get beat up in some fights. We get beat up during the fight, but all your injury, that's only one night.
Yeah.
The 30-minute fight at the most, right? Maybe 35 or 12-round fight.
Yeah.
36. But I used to spar 100, 240 rounds per fight. That's where you get beat up.
Yeah.
You get beat up in the ring day after day after day, hitting bags, getting hit, sparring. Like I said, for Camacho Jr., I sparred 140 rounds with 2 or 3 different guys sparring. For most of all my big fights were at least 100, 125 of sparring rounds. That's a lot of rounds getting hit for every fight.
Right. For years.
For years, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you get beat up, and that's where you get your injuries. The fight just one night.
Yeah, it's a lot of wear and tear.
So I would always tell people, I don't get paid to fight. I get paid to train to get ready for the fight. Fight's just one night. I get paid every day. That's what I'm getting paid for.
Right. Okay, so like I said, I know you got to get out of here and get to the gym. So I like to. I'm new at this thing, so I'm kind of building up my little segments and all that. Yeah. So to close it out, I was talking to Stevie Ray, the wrestler, and we came up with one. I said, okay, we're gonna call this the finishing move, but you're a boxer, so we're gonna call the end of this. This is the last segment, so we're gonna call it the knockout blow. So if I'm talking to a boxer or MMA fighter, it's the knockout blow or the tap out or whatever. Anyway, the knockout blow. You got anything you want to lay out to the people before you get out here? You know, any words of wisdom, any promotions of your social media, or just, you know, anybody you want to fight and tell them let's do it. Any of that, man. Whatever you got, the floor is yours.
No, man. I mean, I appreciate you taking some time and interest on me. I appreciate you. You know, the fight game is a great. It's a great sport. It could be dirty at times, but like anything else, politics is dirty. Everything's dirty. Just people just to respect everyone, whether they're fighters, whether they're businessmen. Respect everyone. Everyone's going through our own struggles. Everyone has their own problems. Everyone's you know, trying to get by and make it in this world. Just respect.
Hey, that's great. That's actually great wisdom. I was actually thinking that to myself. If people just had a little respect for everybody else, man, you know, you ain't even gotta like everybody. If you could just show some respect, you know, and go about your business, we'd be all right. So I want.
Everybody has their own fight, man. Fight your fight. That's it. Say
That's right.
and keep it clean, right?
Keep it clean. So look here, man. I appreciate you. I'm gonna call you James. I'm acting like we homeboys now. But I appreciate the time, man. This was great. You really, you know, gave me some insight that I've never ever heard. Like, it's usually I'm talking to fans. I actually heard some insight today that I can actually pass on to other fans now, especially if they watch this video. Y'all better watch this video. You know what I mean? But
one day we'll do it again, man. I got so much, man. You know, I've been around for, you know, I turned pro when I was 1988 to 2004, and there's so many stories of fighters and, you know, with the Azumah Nelson. Do I have room to give you one story?
Absolutely.
Here's a funny story. I'm fighting Azumah Nelson for the first time here in San Antonio in 1993 at the Alamo Dome. That's when Pernell Whitaker and Chavez fought. I'm fighting the undercard from our first world title fight. It's a month before the fight, training in San Antonio. Azumah Nelson walks in. He's training in San Antonio to acclimate to the weather and to get ready in San Antonio. He comes in. It's being his first time. We're training at the same gym, but it's my gym where I was training at. Not mine, but I trained there all the time. He comes in. He asked one of his trainers to ask me if I would spar with him before the fight. A month before the fight, if I would spar with him.
Really?
You know, he was playing mind games with me.
Yeah, he was.
What he was telling me was, I'm not worried about you. You want to spar? We'll spar. He asked me if I would spar. I said, no, we'll wait till the fight. But he was just playing mind games. That's how cool he was.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never heard anything like that before. That's interesting. So look, James, my boy. Yes, right. Let's definitely do it again whenever you have free time, because this, like I said, this was great. I totally enjoyed it. Like, I'm sitting here being a fan, just listening to this. It's like, you know, I'm not a broadcaster, man. I didn't go to Syracuse. I just love the fight game, and I love to talk. So this was cool, man. So I appreciate you giving me the time. I appreciate you coming to the Big TX Smokehouse. You know, telling these boys that boys from Texas got hands too. You know what I mean?
We got hands. We got hands. We've been proving it forever.
All right, man. So you be blessed, and you know, keep it up, and let's keep in touch, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, bro.
All right, peace.
All right, take care, bro.
It's the Big T at Smokehouse. Got 'em begging me to let the smoke out. If you place with me, you get choked out. It's the Big